Good morning, Soul Sparkers. I know it's been a long time since I've been on the page. I don't even know what has been happening. All I know is life is just flying by, and here we all are, December, almost the end of the year, right? So I have been wanting to get on and kind of update you and tell you some things that you may already be aware of, but maybe it might be new or some additional information too. Okay, so every year, I talk a lot about the Sabbats. The Sabbat, that's spelled Sabbat, the Sabbats. And right now, just next Monday coming up is Yule or winter solstice Sabbat. And what that means is it's a celebration, it's one of the fire celebrations or the sun celebrations. And there are 4 of those Sabbats throughout the year. So I'm just going to jump right in here. If you picture a clock and you picture that at the top of the clock is summer solstice. So at 12 o'clock, it's summer solstice. At 6 o'clock, it's winter solstice. And then if you go to 3 o'clock, that would be autumn equinox. And at 9 o'clock would be spring equinox. Okay, so basically you get the idea that the 2 above and below would be summer solstice, winter solstice, and then the cross on the clock would be spring equinox and fall equinox. Okay, so here we are. We have these 4 Sabbats that are the fire Sabbats or the sun celebrations. And what does that mean? The sun celebration is about the movement of the sun, the elliptical procession of the sun, and the way that it moves around the earth in an elliptical way throughout the year. That's what brings our seasons. That's what brings, more daylight or more dark time, as is the procession of the sun. Okay, so at this particular time, not only do we have winter solstice happening and our days are getting shorter, like the daylight days, we're experiencing darkness for a longer period of time up until the 22nd of December. And that's when the sun hits its furthest point away from the earth and it starts its return to the earth, and or closer to us, not to the earth, but closer to. And in that time, we actually start to get like a minute each day of daylight. It adds on even just seconds. But as the time goes on, until for the next 6 months, we're bringing the light longer days until we reach the point of summer solstice. That's June 21st. So that's the longest day of the year on June 21st. The shortest daylight day of the year is December 21st. Okay. And then on the Sabbats, the equal day and equal night is the spring equinox and the fall equinox. Equal equinox, equal day, equal night. That's when the sun shares the same amount of daylight and darkness. Okay, so we experience that. Okay, so I just wanted to be clear about what the 4 fire Sabbats are. There are 8 nature Sabbats that also play a part in that. And those nature Sabbats are 6 weeks after each of the solstices or equinoxes. So every 6 weeks, we basically either have a fire celebration of the sun or a nature celebration, which is about the earth. So we can look at this as archetypally as Father Sun and Mother Earth. And every 6 weeks, we celebrate the Father, and then 6 weeks later, the Mother Earth. And I'm speaking strictly nature and symbolically as well, how we connect with our feminine divine and our masculine divine energies. It gets really exciting because it's not just about, the day is December 21st and it's winter started. That's it. Like, I know probably all of us have had that experience of December 21st, if we even recognize what day December 21st was in our upbringing, right? So December 21st is not just winter starting, and especially this year. I'm going to talk more about that too. But I wanted to finish out with the Mother Earth Sabbats, or celebrations. Sabbat is a magical way of saying celebration, and that's what it means. It's honoring nature. Okay, so the first Sabbat that will happen 6 weeks after this coming Monday, the 21st, is known as like February 1st. Okay, now some in our culture, we started doing this Groundhog Day thing that takes place on February 2nd. But that was kind of a capture of the long traditions of the pagans and before the pagans of honoring Mother Earth and the Sun and how we come together, the Mother and the Father. So the first celebration takes place on February 1st, and then 6 weeks later, we have another fire celebration of the sun, and that's the equinox. And then 6 weeks after that, we have another Mother Earth celebration. Okay, what do we do on Mother Earth celebrations? It's about the planting, it's about growing and harvesting, and then it's about clearing, as the year goes along, it's about taking all of the harvest down and putting it back into the earth and going into rest, right? Okay, so we have our nature celebration then that comes May 1st, that some people have called May Day, but it's Beltane. The one that I skipped the name of on February 1st is actually called Lammas. And then we go into Beltane on May 1st. And then the next celebration, which is a sun celebration, again, is the summer solstice. Okay, so 6 weeks after summer solstice, we now have another harvest celebration, and that is August 1st, and that one is Lugnasad. Sometimes that one slips my mind for a second. So that one is Lugnasad. That is the celebration of the first harvest. Technically, that's when we're starting to reap the rewards of the planting in the spring. And so we're celebrating by having the harvest of fruits on the trees and vegetables from the ground and so forth. And then 6 weeks after that, we come into the fire ceremony of fall equinox. Okay, so now you're starting to see a pattern that every 6 weeks we're celebrating, and this is how we follow nature. And nature is the same every year. The Father, Sun, and the Mother Earth, they do the same things every year. And our minds, our human minds, like to get in there and we like to say, oh, everything is way off. Nature is just off. And there's global warming and there's this, and it's all throwing it all off. But if you actually went back to the place of origination, you will see that the same thing happens every year. And it's not so far off. Okay? After we do fall equinox, we then go to the next Sabbat, which is called Samhain. Samhain is spelled like Samhain, Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain. And that is also known as Halloween. Okay, so at that point, another capture of celebration. And by November 1, so All Hallows Eve, or Samhain, is on October 31st. And November 1, all crops must be cleared. And the tradition goes that if you have not cleared your crops, you will not get a good set of crop the next year. Okay, so whether it's superstition or actual, I'm not a planter and a farmer, so I couldn't tell you if I ever had a bad crop. But I can tell you that is the new year according to the nature Sabbats. That's when we put everything to rest, and the new year is November 1, or October 1st would be New Year, 31st would be the New Year's Eve for nature, and November 1 would be New Year's Day. That's when everything is put away, put to rest, and we have our return of the sun on December 21st. That's the celebration. And then again, we actually start to honor the goddess Brigitte, and the fire within us we start to get warmer. because we've now been, we're in the heart of winter, so we're using a lot more warmth in our homes, or burning fires, things like that. But it's still a celebration of the light returning back to the planet. And our days are starting to get slightly longer. It builds hope within us. So that's just a little bit that I wanted to share with you about what happens in our nature celebrations. I'm going to do a second video that's going to tell you about what's happening right now. Take care. We'll see you soon.